decimating. Okay, beautiful. All right. So Mr. Praise, I'm just going to start right away with the first question. Thank you. Okay, so I have more people joining in. Okay, so I have Pilane. I hope I pronounced that correctly, from South Africa. Thank you. I have Praise Fowowe joining us from Dallas. Thank you. All right, I'm just going to dive in right away. The first question that came in says, my daughter is so slow and it makes me mad because I'm so fast in what I do. How do I make her do things like I do? That's the first question, Mr. Praise.
Sorry, can you take that question again?
My daughter is so slow and it makes me mad because I'm so fast in what I do. How can I make her do things like I do?
Okay, I think that the first problem is you have not told us the age of your child, and so without you telling us the age of your child, it's very difficult to provide solutions to a problem that is not properly diagnosed. So we love to diagnose problem. Now, if you say your child is slow, what does that mean? Some children come in 4 packages basically. So there are intimidating omers. Intimidating omers are extrovert, natural leaders. They wear you down, wear you out. They want what they want when they want it, and it's got to be now. If you get them in an argument, you are not going to get through. They are going to win the argument, right? So if you have a child that seems like he wants to behave like he's the one parenting and you're not parenting, that's an intimidating armor. Then you have the creative compatible. Creative compatibles are also extroverted. They're going to wear you out, but they are not naturally disciplined. So if you have a child who's looking for socks, who's looking for shoe, if you have a child who forgets homework all the time, that's a creative compatible. Now you have the next 2, dependable truck and systematic for. Dependable truck is driven by what we call slow and steady. So I want to assume that your child is a dependable truck or systematic fault. Systematic fault is also like dependable truck, but that's a perfectionist. Dependable truck, on the other hand, they love to be by themselves. They start things very slow, but when they start, they're going to finish because they second guess themselves. They try to be sure of what they want to do, and sometimes even when they can do things, they struggle to admit that they can do it. Now, so the first thing you might need to check is which of you have a trait that is a bit slow. So if your husband or your wife manifests that trait, then your child is manifesting one of the personalities in either of you. Now, barring any other issue like abuse, because abuse can make an extroverted child become introverted, bearing any of those issues, if I know the age of your child, so if you're on this call, you can give us the age, then I may be able to advise you. But barring any other challenge, and if you want to be doubly sure, you might want to bring your child to a specialist, or you can, let us examine your child for you and find out exactly what's going on. But there is no child that is slow, as it were, provided the child is doing what they are supposed to do at their own pace. Now, what I hear you say is that your child is not acting like you. Now, your child cannot act like you because your child is not you. And you also need to understand, it took you so long a time to get to where you are. So the first thing is, can you respect who your child is? And now help them to prioritize, because dependable thoughts oftentimes they do analysis paralysis. So they are looking at the thing, they're thinking about it, then before the time is gone. So you want to help that child accept who they are. Problem is going to start when you are trying to impose yourself on that child and you're trying to get the child to become who they are not. That's always very problematic. And so when you see parents say things like, oh, you are too slow, like once you begin to compare that child, that's a devastating blow. It's like the uppercut in the boxing. You have destroyed a child. So what I'm going to say is patiently observe your child, observe their pattern, observe their strength, right? And appreciate their strength. Now, the other area where they seem to be at a disadvantage, right, can be worked on. But like I said, when you're asking questions, I would love more details about who your child is, the age of the child, and all of these things, so that we can now know exactly what. Because if you're talking about a 4-year-old, for example, that's not a problem. You don't even have to worry about anything, right? If you're talking about a 16-year-old, I might worry a little bit, provided, and but there are other questions I need to ask, so we don't have the luxury of that question. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that your child is communicating a personality type that you are not aware of, or that you are willing to accept, because you're looking at other people's children and you know that they are fast, they are running around. Not every child is going to run around. If you pick a child that's running around and make them pilots, they might just, do something very crazy. So we need some children who are at that level, are meticulous in their approach to things, and they take their time before you do things. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's the angle this person is coming from. This person wants the child to be like her. Thank you so much for answering that question brilliantly. Another father had sent in a question. He says, I am a father and a husband who wants to make a change in my parenting style. I've realized my ignorance and lack of knowledge in raising my children. I now need to focus on the positives while managing the negatives in my children. How do I develop these styles?
The first thing you need to do, again, I would really want to know the age of your children. The first thing you need to do is to go and apologize to those children. And apology will start with, let them rate you without any form of fear. Without any fear, let them rate you, right? And what that means is, if they're not afraid of you or beating them or something, how will they rate your parenting experience so far? If they feed you back and you think that the feedback is not pleasant, then you need to apologize. Now, the challenge we have with parenting is that many of us started parenting before learning how to parent. And that's why we always say that the firstborn children in Africa are usually the specimens in the experimental lab of our parenting. And that's why you realize that a lot of firstborn children struggle in many African homes, right? So we use them to learn parenting. And that's not good, because that's why you see that a lot of firstborn ladies, they kind of have challenges in their relations because they are trying to take responsibility for their husband. So they are almost like the husbands, and a lot of men, who don't understand these things suddenly feel, oh, I don't want a mother, I want a lover, and things like that. So what I'm going to say to you is, I'm glad that you admitted that you need help. So go apologize to your children. The next thing you're going to do is, I don't know if you have ever taken any of our course, I'll recommend strongly rules of parenting to you. Because it's not impossible that you also have trauma in you that you need to heal from. Many of us are product of the parenting school that produced us. So you need to heal. An average parent is dealing with trauma. So if you are yelling, shouting, screaming, and you are beating your children, those are symptoms of a trauma that has not been addressed. So you need to heal and understand that you are not a bad father. You have done the best you could with what you knew as at the time you knew it. So now you need to understand the developmental stages in the life of your children to know the role you need to play in those areas. You need to understand the psychology of a child, so that sometimes when a child is being a child, you are not imposing your expectation on the child. You are able to appreciate their journey, and you are able to guide the child in the right direction that they need to be. So I will say that get empowered, get knowledge, take a course that can help you master basic parenting. I mean, parenting is like a profession, as it were. It's like you want to be a chartered accountant, you want to be an accountant, but you have not studied accounting. You are going to use head knowledge. Head knowledge is dangerous. So I'm going to say to you, embrace learning, right? Equip yourself, then you will be better equipped to handle your children. But the first thing is, you need to mend fences with them. So go back home, apologize to them, let them know that you only try to get the best out of them, right? Maybe you have overdone it, or you have done it the way your own parents raised you. I mean, tell them your own journey, tell them your story, let them know how you grew up, right? They will better appreciate what you're trying to do when they know that, hey, some of us were totally abused by our parents, but they said they was discipline when it was domestication, right? So you don't even know better, right? So I think that is what you need to do. If you do that, I'm sure that you will be able to mend the fences. And once you have asked for apology, then ask them for permission to come into their world. And the easiest way to do that is fix a weekly schedule with them. Let them find something to teach you. It could be dance. Let them teach you their dance. Let them teach you their games. Find a space in their world. Then once they trust you, then you can begin to balance perspectives for them.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. So I guess people are now beginning to send in the age of their children. So someone says, I get easily pissed off with my soon-to-be 5-year-old daughter. She likes things done her way. She doesn't like writing. She doesn't like eating, and it worries me a lot. She likes watching a video on a tablet, and the one is okay. So this person is saying, and she also destroys gadgets in the house. How can I handle this? Soon to be 5-year-old likes to that way.
That child, there's nothing wrong with that child. That child is being a 4-year-old. You say she's destroying gadgets. She's not destroying gadgets. A 4-year-old does not know how much you bought the gadget. In the bid to understand and explore the gadget, is what you call destroying the gadget, because it's almost as if the child sat down and said, I'm going to destroy this gadget. There was something like that. A 5-year-old is being a 4-year-old. If you give a 4-year-old your iPhone 14, right? If he dumps it inside water, the child is not wicked. The child has done what a child will do. Curiosity. That is the age, right? So the child is wondering what exactly is playing video inside the phone. It's going to unscrew it. If he can't find a screw, it's going to use knife. So when you say that the child is destroying gadget, the child is just exploring. What you have done is, by giving a child a lot of screen time, you are the one that is getting your child addicted to screen, because a lot of our children are getting addicted to screen. If you see some children 4-year-old, when you take screen from them, they begin to cry. That's already a symptom of a problem, because the child is not going to develop social skills. I mean, think about it. Think about the era when there were no screens. How did we raise children? How did children survive? They played with toys. They interacted with people. They did stuff. There is a lot that is available for a 4-year-old to do. So the child is not, if you take your child likes to have their way, which of you or your husband or your grandfather or your grandmother, is always wanting to have their way? The child is simply modeling, because ages 0 to 3, your job is to scout. 4 to 6 is modeling. The child exactly copies the energy around him, right? And so the brain of the child takes in is a theta state. The child takes in everything around him. So if there is one of you who is forceful, the child takes after you, right? If there is one of you who is organized, the child takes after you, right? And so the area I'm worried about is the child does not love to eat. We need to investigate why the child does not love to eat. Is it that you are imposing a particular meal on the child, or there are other things the child loves to eat that is not made available? If that is ruled out, you might need to then get a child to see a pediatrician so that they can find out why the child is not eating, because that worries me a little bit. But outside of that, behaviorally, nothing is wrong with the child. In fact, if they check your life, you destroy some toys at the age of 4. If you have to confess to yourself, you destroy some toys. So it's not destroying the toys, it's exploring the toys. Yes, from a standpoint of the toy is no longer useful or the gadget is now spoiled, you can say it was destroyed. It wasn't destroyed. The child explored a gadget, and you should be excited. Maybe there's a scientist in your child, or maybe there is an engineer in your child, or what have you, right? For a child to be a child, and for a child to play the games that children will play. If you give a child a very expensive gadget, you can be sure that the child does not have the capacity to say, this is my gadget, I'm going to keep it clean, I'm going to keep it. Even some of you as adults, right? That's you as an adult. Imagine a 4-year-old. The child is not thinking about protecting anything. The child is just thinking of exploring things. So let's allow these children be children. They are doing what children can do. It's called expected behavior. They're not really bad.
Thank you, Mr. Praise. So parents, you can hear that they are not intentionally destroying your things. They're just experimenting.
Okay,
I can
looks
see all
like
your questions.
is frozen.
Oh. Is it better now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You were frozen for a while.
Oh, okay, good. I can see your questions. Please, you can direct your questions to me if you do not want to put in the chat room. I have some direct questions and I'm going to read them out now. But if you have not sent in your question, please do send them to me directly. Or if you're comfortable sharing it in the chat room, it's also okay. This person says, how do I teach my children, 7 years girl and 9-year boy, about sex? Mr. Praise once mentioned that it's important they hear from us first. My daughter recently asked me if I had sex to have a baby. I asked what sex was, and she said she saw it in her brother's science textbook.
That's very simple. There is what we call age-appropriate sexuality education. The schools are shying away from it. The religious bodies are running away from it. Parents have got to teach it. One of the first projects I ever did in my life, launched in my life, was basic sexuality education kits. What to teach a child about sex from 18 months to 18 years. Different sets of values, different, there are songs, there are games, there are lessons. We have all these things available. Now, it is your duty, especially in this age and time where the information coming is even worse than when we developed that content. Right now, you are dealing with LGBT, issues, so there are so many issues that are bigger than even when we started teaching them. So the strength of the predator, and predator in this case, is no longer just a person. Predators are now also systems, policies, and legislations of nations. So for example, some developed countries have a predating system that can mess up the sexuality of a child, that makes them doubt their gender, doubt their identity. That's part of a predator system, right? But you also have human system. Now your child has gotten to read about sex in the textbook. Your child is 7 and 9. It means they have missed 2 critical modules in their journey into sexuality education. They are supposed to be on the 3rd module. So if this is you, we have what we call basic sexual education kit. It's online. You can, I think it's very cheap. I think it's less than $50 or something, right? You can go get it, right? It has songs, it has games. There's a book called Super Kids. That's also part of the package, right? And you need to start teaching your children. It starts with their body, the private parts, the public part, it's a no-brainer. You need to have that conversation with them, right? Or what we also have is we have what we call Ready for Life. Ready for Life is in Nigeria and in the diaspora, right? Ready for Life, they teach sexual, you have mentors who work with your children every week. We have 3 semesters in a year. So you might want to, the parents who are Ready for Life will tell you it's been amazing. We facilitated in North America and the UK. Then we have the Nigerian version as well, right? Different mentors teaching your children age-appropriate sexual education, then values-adding education. So I think they have the link for Ready for Life. You can go there, the one within Africa and the one outside Africa, and sign your child up. Your child will be in good hands, and all these questions will be handled for your child. But also, you can, if you don't want to do Ready for Life, you can go and take the basic sexual education kit and administer it yourself on your child. It's on our website. But your job is to teach your children about sex. And for every question they're asking, you need to answer age-appropriate wise. Because if you don't answer, they're going to ask their friends at school. And God help you if the friend they're going to ask is someone who is sexually active. And I must say that children are sexually active. As a matter of fact, the rate of abuse, sexual abuse among children right now is peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer is higher than even adults to children right now. So and those, I work in the field, so I hear all kinds of things regularly. I surveyed 13 states in Nigeria before I left Nigeria, and it was very, very bad. Age 6 were sexually active in Nigeria, sadly, right? So there is a lot you can teach your children, and I think you should avail yourself of those resources.
Thank you so much, Mr. Praise. Please keep the questions coming in. I can see them. I will get them. I will get to your questions. If I have not asked your question, I will still get there. You can keep your questions coming in. Someone says, I had a very terrible childhood. I was abused by my mom and stepfather. I really want to be a different parent to my children. I'm a first-time mom. My son is just 1 year old. I desperately need therapy. My son throws tantrum and eats me whenever he's angry. How can I handle this?
Well, the first thing you need to do is to heal. Healing is not, I mean, and with due respect to religion, I know that we've been told just pray and tell God, every anger, remove it from me. It's a behavioral problem. Now, the trauma is deep and you need to go through healing. There are, for example, in the New Rules of Parenting program that we have, the first module is about healing and you analyzing yourself. I think that on my YouTube page, there is an entire session on healing as well. You can avail yourself of any of those things, right? But you need to heal. You might need to work with a professional. So maybe you can talk to us after now. We can take you through a healing session, right? Or share with you the link so that you can go and do it yourself. But you need to heal, right? And what happens in healing is a change of meaning. You need to visit the trauma your mother subjected you to, right? Your mother also was not wicked. She must have also had trauma in her because hurting people hurt others. People in pain inflict pain on other people. Sometimes they do it in their bid to think that they want to make you disciplined. They want to help you. They want to make your life better, but they eventually damage you. So sometimes good people do bad things with good intention. So take, for instance, your father, you have bashed his car, right? He doesn't want you to kill yourself. He doesn't want you to touch the car again. So he flogs you, lays you down, removes your clothes, and uses belt to draw marks on your back. Now that's trauma. I met a man who has one eye, the other eye was blinded because he stole from the pot. The father was trying to beat him, or he took meat from the pot. I don't like to use the word steal, right? Because the people who said the child stole, if you look at their behavior, there's no way the child is not going to steal, because when daddy has 6 meat, mommy has 4 meat, and you give the child one tiny meat, and you give a condition to him for him that until he finishes his food, he must not eat that small meat. And the child is beginning to wonder what is wrong. Why is he the only one who is taking small meat? You know, I know that things have changed. In our own days, the child is going to be giving the leg of the chicken, not the thigh, right? And you know the leg has nothing. Yet daddy takes the thigh, that mommy takes the thigh, they take the back, the chest, you know, then they will now give the child the leg, and they will now say he must finish his right leg. So already you have created a crisis situation that will make everyone on this call, whoever stole me from the pot, that was their story. So you need to understand that the person that hurts you was also hurting. But you must no longer pass pain to your children. And that's why the right time to do it is now. That your child is still very young, you need to go through a proper healing session so that the meaning can be changed, and you can now see the higher intention behind what you go through. For every pain we've gone through, it's a preparation for a future that life subliminally prepared us for. Now you need to find that higher purpose. Once that higher purpose is clear to you, once you can find healing within yourself, and you can learn to forgive the people who inflicted the pain on you, you realize that your breathing becomes better. The trigger that makes you get into a frantic state where you exhibit the behavior that you don't like will that naturally leave. Then you can live in a wholesome manner wherein you look at your child and you enjoy parenting, you enjoy yourself. And because if you don't enjoy yourself, you can't enjoy parenting. You will almost become a slave to your children. And many parents are at that level where they are killing themselves for their children to survive, getting work out, you know, looking for more money, sending the child to the best of schools. They are not even taking care of themselves. You need to be wholesome to raise a wholesome child. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Praise. Someone says, please, my 12-year-old son's default response is lying. When I ask him a question, what can I do? Also, when I tell my children to do something, e.g., house chores, put gadgets away, they never respond immediately until I shout and give consequences. What can I do? But I also have a follow-up question that is similar to this. Someone says, it appears children only hear when you yell. When you speak gently, they don't listen. So where will the balance be? So those two questions are similar. So you can.
That's a generalization. Bible says that sheep hears my voice and they obey. The voice of the stranger they will not hear. If your children are your children, many of us, unknown to us, part of the trauma we're subjected to, our parents did not communicate with us. Our parents were like running a barracks. They yelled at you, they commanded you. So the fact that your parents commanded you, you have graduated from their school as a lieutenant colonel. And as a lieutenant colonel from their parenting school, you were waiting to command. Unfortunately, a new generation has risen. So what is most painful to you is that you cannot command, yet you are a military person. So it's like you are a military man who gets to war front and cannot shoot because you have a gun has been withdrawn from you, or because the people you are going to deal with have different tools. That's what is happening to you. Now, very simple. You need to sit with your children and make the rule. Okay, so ask them what are the styles of parenting that they don't like about you? That's one. Number two, ask them why don't they finish their task or do the task they are asked to do as at when due. Just listen to them. Don't try to be a parent. Try to be a friend. Listen to them. Lend them your ear. Now ask them what must happen for them to do what they are supposed to do as at when they are supposed to do it. Then let them know if we don't clean the house, for example, what are the effects on our worldview. So for example, my family, we have a clear family vision. And so we have conversations around our vision. So if my children have chores, so if David is in the kitchen this week, the sister is the one cleaning the house that week and in charge of laundry. Then the following week they alternate. Now, if somebody is supposed to clean the house for a particular week and a part of the house is not clean, let's say the living room, there's a part of maybe a sheet of paper on the floor that someone mistakenly dropped. Now, if any other person passes through it, we don't say, initially, they will say, it's not my turn. But then we ask the question, if guests come in here and this place remains dirty, whose house will they say is dirty? They will say the Fowowe family. What does that mean? So because you want to show that your sister has not done what she's supposed to do, they will now, because they will not mention your dad or your mom, they will mention your family. Is that good or not? They say no. Right. So it's a conversation, right? Conversation is how you promote communication. If you are fond of shouting on your children, they will start shouting on themselves, and in their response to you, they will. Bible says that do not exasperate your children. Do not make them feel bitter, but bring them in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. So nurturing skill is what many of us lack, right? Because if you look at it, there are people who are controlling your life, yet they are not commanding you. You make all the ladies here, for example, your hairdo. It was an influence from somewhere, but they didn't tie you, they didn't beat you, but you went to make that hair, subliminally, right? All the men here, you drive a kind of car. The women, you bought your car. You were influenced. You've already been rigged. But they were the most powerful forces on earth. Don't shout. Your pastor literally, or your imam literally runs your life, but they don't shout, right? And you live life by their dictates. So, so you need to understand that communication is not natural with us. Or we have to learn it. So what you need to do, now that you have admitted that you don't have it, have the conversation. You must have regular meetings with your children. So there's what we call open day. Open day is a time of the week, one day of the week, where everybody in the family is permitted to say whatever they want to say that is paining them. The rule during open day is one, nobody gets angry. Number two, nobody is defensive. Number three, whatever is said cannot be used against the person that said it. And number four, if what is said is significant, we must change it, right? Because everyone must gather around the vision. Many of us, there is no vision in your family. You just have rules and regulations. The children don't even know the rules. You have given them 10 rules. But every time they do something, you increase the rule. You just come like soldier. You don't explain. No, you must not use gadgets anymore. The conversation around it, and we ask them, look at the result. Look at the goal you set for your academics this year. Are you closer to the goal? They said no. So what must we eliminate so that we can have more time for study? They said maybe our gadget time is soon. So what do we reduce it to? 2 hours, but that 2 hours will be a reward for completing your tasks for the day. And it was okay by them. No, we didn't force it. It was a joint decision. So you need to normalize communication and conversation. Respect for children is what many of us lack. We think because they came out of our womb, they are your children, so you have earned the right to talk to them anyhow. Yes, you graduated as lieutenant colonel or lieutenant general from your father's parenting school. Unfortunately, barracks are no longer available. What you have are now human beings, right? Who have emotion. So you need to manage them. That's what I'm going to say to you.
Much. The first part of the question says that the 12-year-old son is lying. When I ask him a question, what can I do?
Lie has a psychology. The psychology of lie is that I do not trust your capacity to handle my truth. Because my truth, one, we hurt you. Number two, my truth, we elicit punishment. So the child must have studied that every time they own up to what they have done, what they receive is beating. Nobody likes to be beaten. So, and they realize that you don't have the capacity to create an environment where they can speak their truth because you don't even trust their truth. So, with that background, a child will lie. When you create the right environment where a child can be honest and you create an expectation where your children know that they can make mistakes and learn. Many of us have rules and regulations that makes it look like a child cannot do anything wrong, right? So you cannot. So when the child does something that a child will do, make a mistake a child will do. So for example, you have a 14-year-old girl or 13-year-old who is crushing on a boy. That's normal, right? And the child comes to you. She wants to talk to you, but you are not the type that can be talked to in that light because every time you are preaching in your house morning devotion, you must run away from boy because fornication will lead to fire. You know, what are we saying? It's just crush. It's not even anything serious. So the child paints a story and say, Mom, I want to talk to you. There's a girl in my school. She's my friend, but she's having a crush on a girl. What is your response? Hey, no, don't deal with that girl. That's a devil's girl. You are Jesus' girl. I mean, with your response, even me, I cannot talk to you. So if we create an environment, and let's not pretend as if we did not go through some of the things that you're not going through. Yes, there was no internet in your days, but you received love letters from the men on this call. I'm writing the short message to you up here. So doxology. You received doxology in the era and age when there was no internet. Right? I have some of my friends here listening to me and they're laughing at when I mentioned doxology. So you wrote doxology, you received doxology. So why are you pretending that it's a demonic behavior for a 13-year-old to have a crush on a guy? Right? So let's create an environment. Again, that's why we say that you need to understand the expected behavior from you. So from 0 to 3, we say that you are a scout. You don't judge a child at that age. From 4 to 6, you are a model. You model what you want, to your children. You model values, you model right life, you model that to the child. Right? From ages 7 to 9, you are an instructor. You create a curriculum that can govern the behavior of your child. We call it domestic educational system. In fact, my latest product in the market is how to create a domestic educational system. It's the cheapest parenting product I have, right? Very cheap and affordable, right? But in there is how to script a child using domestic educational system. You might want to get that, right? Because from 7 to 9 is that age where, and basically the script you are creating is a script that covers your child till they are 18. Now, from 10 to 12 Your role is a friend. You now need to understand their passcode, understand their slang, understand their games, understand their dance, and speak their lingo. From 13 to 16 to 18, you are a coach. Your job is to balance perspective. Now, if you don't know how to function in all these roles at different age ranges, there's going to be problems, right? So you want to create an ideal environment if your children are not afraid of you. If your children love you, they will be honest about their mistake because they know you'll be able to handle it. But if the response to their honesty is pain, then to avoid pain, they may need to lie to you. Right. So that's usually what with the psychology of life.
So for every parent in here, you will want to go back to have that conversation with your children, because really it's not because they want to lie to you. You're not giving them that environment. Thank you so much, Mr. Praise. If I have not answered your question, don't worry. I'm getting back to you. I'm trying to go through all the questions that you all have sent in. Some of the questions have already been answered, so I might need to skip some of them. Someone says, my 2-year-old spanked. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm going to read out like that. It says, my 2-year-old spanked. I don't yell at him, neither do I beat. I have a song that I sing for him anytime he does that, and sometimes he cries and says sorry. How can I stop him from spanking? Because it can be painful, and it takes so much patience not to spank him. It's been taxing.
Oh, well, the child is 2 years. Is it not 2-year-old? That's a 2-year-old child.
Yes, 2-year-old.
Please, the child will outgrow whatever it is. A 2-year-old, that's the second year on this planet Earth that has 7.5 billion people, that has about 3 million bits of information bombarding the child every second. That his tender brain is trying to sieve and develop his filters. Please, every time, try to correct him, but he will outgrow it. I mean, 2-year-old. The interesting thing about many of us is we want children, but we're not prepared for the psychological changes at different milestones in the life of the child. A 2-year-old is doing what a 2-year-old should do. So that shouldn't bother you. It will, many of you on this call, you were bedwetting. Some of you in boarding houses. Do you still bedwet? The answer is no, you outgrew it. Some of you were eating your fingers, right? You ate your fingers till your 10th birthday. In fact, your parents put fire. They put pepper, yet you didn't stop doing it. So you look back at how long it took you to overcome and outgrow certain things, but you outgrew them. Some of them you are still dealing with them. So please, don't rush a child. And don't always think every behavior you see in a child is right or wrong. No. Sometimes it's either necessary or unnecessary, right? So you need to go beyond right and wrong. Anything that doesn't align with you is you classified as wrong. Let me tell you, your beliefs is not the truth. Your belief is what you have convinced yourself to be the truth, and you could be wrong. Your truth could even be wrong, right? So can you patiently observe the child and find a way to help the child? If the rule of engagement or the code of engagement is how can we assist, then you will get the best out of the child, and you will get the best out of the child rather than it must be my way or no way. Right? That's not gonna work.
Okay. So someone sent in a question to the chat room, but I think that Mr. Praise has answered that question, saying that my 1-year-old throws tantrum and hits me repeatedly when he's angry. I think you've answered that. So someone is saying, you're very right. No communication from our parents then. Yes, no communication. Someone else is asking, he says, hi, thanks for the class. What's your say about carrying out birth control and family planning for sexually active 13 years and above?
Well, if you are living abroad, let's say you're living outside Nigeria, that is almost allowed. I know in the UK, the child can even go and do birth control and family planning by themselves. But from a moral perspective, or well, yeah, let me stay on the moral perspective. If you do, it means for a 13-year-old who is sexually active, you have already endorsed that sexually active, so go on. Let's just prevent pregnancy. I'm okay with your whatever you are doing. The pregnancy is what I'm not ready for. Now, the question is, should a 13-year-old be sexually active? How did we get to that point where it's 13-year-old sexually active? Trust me, I went this 9-year-old addicted to sex. I've seen 11-year-old. I know 13-year-olds are having sex. But can we get to the roots of the matter? How did a 13-year-old become sexually active? How was that child? Let's not forget that parenting is seed and harvest. Let's not forget that. It's garbage in, garbage out. Did you have conversation with this child? Did you promote esteem? And a 13-year-old having sex, there's something wrong. A non-discovery of self or a non-remembrance of it is an identity crisis, clearly, right? It will masquerade as all my friends are doing it. That all our friends are doing it doesn't mean she has to do it. We call something the power of one. That everyone is doing doesn't make it right. Now, it calls to question, who are the parents? What are the family values? What level of modeling has she been subjected to? Could an abuse, sexual abuse, have taken place that the parents are not aware of? Because if you say 13-year-old is uncontrollable, that speaks to the fact that there's been some contact somewhere that is abused, that the child is now manifesting what we call learned helplessness. These are all possibilities. Right. So do you want to create an intervention that can help you recover your child? Because that's possible. We've done that severally for people, right? Or do you, sometimes you just need to find maybe a mentor for your child. You can join the Ready for Life thing, or can we even have conversation with you? So if you're a parent, you are like this on this call, we might need to troubleshoot further to know what is the state of your family. Are you still with your husband, or what exactly is happening? Because that you are about to do family planning means that you have given up. That's what it looks like to me. But your child can be recovered. Help is available. There are several interventions that can be created to help that child, because if a 13-year-old is already sexually active, even with the best of family planning, by the time, imagine the child keeps having sex till 21. How many men? What level of heartbreak? What level of emotional trauma? What about sexually transmitted infection? Yes, the child will not get pregnant. What about hepatitis B? What about HIV? So there are so many things to learn, and that's why the best thing is you want the child to regain their identity, to be wholesome, and to be able to take an informed decision that will promote their well. Those are the things I think we should focus on in recovering that child. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Praise. And I'm sure the person who asked the question has seen that. You can reach out to the admin. I'm sure there's a number there where you can reach out to us, and we can create an intervention for that child. Thank you so much, Mr. Praise. I have another question here. This person says, my last child of 6-year-old is a boy, is always fighting with his older brothers. I have only boys, no girl, 4 boys. And when he starts, I'll be pleading with him to stop, but he can never listen to me. Rather, he will be cursing me like, come on, shut up, see your head, nonsense, and so on. And anytime he is calm, I'll be telling him to change his behavior, that it's not good, and he will promise to change. But before you know it, he starts again. Please, what can I do to change him?
Sorry, how old is this child?
The boy is 6.
This boy must be growing in America or Canada. That's the only way. That's the only way that this thing they are describing must be happening. The child is looking at you and is telling you, get out, shut up. Oh God. So you are afraid of 911 being called, right? No, you are the parent. You're not the child. You're not mates. Values are broken down. The child is almost becoming your leader. He's becoming the parent in the house. Now, you have four boys. Sibling rivalry is what I see in there. Now, sibling rivalry happens when we do not manage the transitions in the life of children properly, especially the tendency for those of you in the diaspora to shift attention from a star to another star. So there used to be a star, only one, eat the food alone, eat everything alone, have mommy and daddy. Now a new child is born. The moment a new child is born, if you don't manage that transition and make the child say that, you know what, you now have a baby, you need to take care of your baby, get him involved where he becomes the mentor and the protector of the new baby, you would realize that if you don't manage that, the child begins to. So I'll give you an example. There's an adult who is having serious issue with his wife. Now, every time the wife does something, it will resolve a physical, some fight, and it's always very messy. When I was working with him, you know what we found out? He could not stand anything that looks like cheating. Why? Because his younger brother was preferred to him by his father. When he was celebrating his 10th birthday, the younger brother, whose birthday that day, insisted that he must also have cake, he must cut cake, and the father said yes. So they cut cake for the younger brother, and the younger brothers now overshadowed the owner of the birthday, and he kept that in his heart for a long time. So every experience we take children through, some of them we externalize it, some of them we keep it, but the trauma remains. So that child causing you is not a normal behavior. That is a symptom of something. It's a symptom of a child dealing with something that has not been externalized. So it's not being disrespectful to you. The child is seeking for attention. So it's creating a deviant behavior to send a signal that is hurting you to gain attention. Now, telling the child you be best behave is repeating what our parents said to us. Remember the son of who you are. Behave well. No. You're advising. Advising does not work. It is scripting that works. You literally have to script your children in this age and time, especially if you live in America, UK, Canada, Australia, South Africa. These are semblance of like first world, second world. You need to script your child. There is no other way. And scripting is subliminal. So you need to create a curriculum that is enjoyable. It looks like play. Everybody's having discussion. Everybody's studying it together. You have to sell an idea of you are global hero, kind of, and you're going to change the world. So we're going to do global heroes time once every day or once a week, and they look forward to it. There's a lot of finger food, a lot of games involved, but you are grooming them to collaborate and to become the values you want to promote. So there is a system to that, right? And for you, I'll recommend the whole process of the new rules of parenting. Then, in addition to our child, which is the domestic educational system for you, it will help you. But that behavior is unacceptable. Your child should not be saying the things you are saying that your child is saying. Very unacceptable. But sibling rivalry is real. You must never prefer a child to another, and you must never give a clue that you prefer a child to another, because children can really, really injure themselves, and become sworn enemies if care is not taken. So you and your spouse needs to do something as a matter of urgency. You need to create a proper family system with a clear vision, mission, DNA creed of your family, and you need to create a domestic educational system. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Praise. We're having a good time here. If you are, and you love all the ways that Mr. Praise has been answering all of these questions and you're getting value, just go into the chat room and say, yes, I am getting value. Yes, I am. Okay, someone is saying, I guess that psychology of lies is true for adults too. I know from my practice, many people would rather lie to their spouse out of fear. Good, exactly, yes. It's the same thing that applies to children that also applies to adults. And someone is saying, Mr. Praise, so you said they do doxology. Okay. Yes, so Someone also says, wonderful, it's the truth, Jare. We had crushes without phones then. We used songs of Solomon to write love letters. I'm not there. I don't know what you are talking about. All right, so back to our question. Someone says, I have 4 girls. My last is 25 years, and she believes she can handle things herself. Even if I try to give mine, she studies outside Nigeria and I am in Nigeria. What can be the problem and what can I do? Although she behaves well, but like a stubborn habit, like I can do it myself.
25 is an adult. She should not even be, your role in the life of a 25-year-old is advisory. Advisory means she's not obliged to listen to you, right? And so, because I will worry if I have a 25-year-old and I'm still the one telling the 25-year-old what to do. I'll be very worried. In fact, if I have a 21-year-old and I'm the one telling 21-year-old how to take decisions, I'll be worried. Parenting ends at 18. What happens from 19 is your report card. It's an 18-year global standard curriculum. It terminates at 18 because at 18, it's only in around Africa that 18-year-old, 25-year-old is still calling Miami and is still eating, say, Miami, is there Amala today? You know, outside, once your child is 18, your child is out of the house. But if you have done an incredible work of bonding with your children, then you will find expression in their life. Now, there are so many things we don't know that our children know. So don't ever think, and like you said, your child is schooling abroad. Most likely you are in Nigeria. So the reality, let me tell you, the reality in America, I've lived in America for 2 years. I've lived in Canada. I've lived in the UK. The reality of life, culture in America, Canada, UK, versus the reality of life in Nigeria, there is not even a way to describe it. It's like from heaven to earth. So any advice you are giving people who live in America from Nigeria, sometimes it doesn't even, they look at it and they're like, what are you talking about? Because what they are confronted with. So for example, if you get into the system and you see what the beliefs are about things like sex, and you almost pass out, you almost return back to Africa to say, am I in hellfire? Because people have outgrown. In Netherlands, for example, there's what they call sin tax. Sin tax is, if you want to commit sin, come and commit sin. But the wages of sin is a tax you're going to pay. So you want to smoke. Smoke is €1 to buy a smoke or a cigarette. But the tax on one cigarette can be like €20. So you want to commit sin. You want to sleep with the prostitute. Yes, to sleep with the prostitute, maybe like €30. But the tax on that sleeping is like maybe €100. So you want to commit sin. You commit sin, but pay us to commit sin. Right? So it's totally different. Yes, you say you are in Canada, she's in Canada. If your child has been in Canada since 18 and she's now 25, that's a Canadian you are dealing with. You're not dealing with a Nigerian anymore. Right? So usually I tell parents, if you are sending your child to Canada, ensure that there is a guardian. Don't send a child to Canada alone on their own, except you have laid a proper foundation. I have 2 children in Canada that I'm raising in Canada, so I know what I'm talking about. You see, what you can now do is let them lead you, but now balance perspective. So ask them leading questions, probing questions, open-ended questions. Then let
Okay. Am I the only one who's frozen? Hello, Mr. Praise.
It's frozen.
Oh, I wanted to be sure that it's not from my end. Okay, I'm sure he will join in back shortly, but I'm super excited about all the questions that we are asking. For people who are sending directly to me, some people who are sending to admin directly or sending to PF, who would answer your question. Just give us a few minutes for Mr. Praise to join back right in. And if you have not sent in your question, please still send it in. We will try as much as possible to answer all your questions the day before you leave. And yes, you can go into the chat room. It talks about the Ready for Life mentoring program to register your children for next semester that starts in April. The link is in the chat room. You can go there and check it out. And if you want a payment plan or payment options, you can always reach out to the admin. I'm sure that she could do something. And if you also want to sign up for the parenting classes, it's okay. You can also do that. If you want to sign up for the parenting classes, it's fine. I'm sure that she also has some options, payment options for you to be able to do that. While we wait for Mr. Praise Fowowe, let me see, give me an emoji in the chat room. Let me know if you are getting value. I asked earlier, only 2 people dropped. Let me know if you're getting value from this question and answer session. Let me know if you're getting value. Oh, Mr. Praise Fowowe is back. Mr. Praise Fowowe, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I wanted to be sure that you wrapped up with the question that you were answering.
What was it? Where did I stop?
About the lady who's 25 years.
Yeah. So you need to balance perspective basically and get to know what they know. Be willing to learn from your child. Let the child lead you. First world people have a lot to teach third world countries. But go put your mind at rest. Your child is 25, for crying out loud. Except if the matter is not LGBT related, put your mind at rest. Or it is not marijuana related. Because a lot of African young people, when they get abroad here, in Canada, the 2 issues that you may have to worry about is LGBT and the use of cannabis. You know, because those are major. But if those issues are not the issue, please put your mind at rest. If you have laid a proper foundation, you can go to bed. Your child will come around. Yeah.
Okay. We're getting to almost the end of this session. So if you don't send in your question now, we may not be able to take more questions because we have quite a number of questions here that are yet to be answered. So we would have to restrict the time or reduce the time to answering all the questions that are coming in, Mr. Praise. This person says that my 8-year-old has a serious temper issues. How do I handle this situation? My 8-year-old.
Well, temper issue, anger is a secondary emotion. You need to find out what is getting the child upset. If the temper is uncontrollable, then that's rage, right? Rage has a history. So you want to find out, are there things, maybe the way you guys talk to him, or maybe the child doesn't feel respected. Is there an abuse in this case? You know, so you might want to get a professional to psychoanalyze the child and let's find out what's going on in there. I'll recommend that you put a child in the hand of a professional. But if you don't feel like that, we have something called handling an erring child. I think it's on our website. It's a course and 7-step process to handling an erring child. I think you might want to go get that. You know, it solves the problem for you. But I would strongly recommend that you get a child to talk to a professional. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, if you want to check out any of our courses, you can go to our website, www.iambracefowowe.com. If you want to take any of our courses, you can go there right away. And if you're outside Nigeria, let's say you're outside Africa, I think it's gracefowowedtech.com. You can always check out our websites and check out all the resources that we have that can help you on this parenting journey. So I have another question here. This person says, please, how do I handle teenage circle? I have a 17-year-old who sees me as a rival and competition. She particularly disagrees with me and would always agree with the dad, even when she knows that he may be wrong. It's always like I am the bad cop because I'm the one who always corrects her while my husband is always making it seem as if he has to correct her because
Well,
I reported her to him. I'm trying to finish up the
I
question.
get.
Oh, you
I
can
get
see the question.
I think what's going on, it's very simple. You and your husband need to put yourself together. And I'll tell you why. Once the children know that daddy and mommy are different spectrums when it comes to parenting, then you have created a situation in your house where there are Republicans and there are conservatives within the family. Now, Republicans and conservatives don't mix. Conservatives are conservatives. They are the anti-abortion. They want to look like they are good people. The Republicans and Democrats, Democrats are liberal, ones who embrace gay. So that's what it's like you have in your family. Now, what I'm going to advise is it must start from you and your husband. Question: who had a better parenting experience growing up? The person that had the better parenting experience growing up, whose parents were balanced, whose parents were communicating, whose parents understand parenting and they express a lot of love, is the person that should take the lead. Once you and your husband, for example, myself and my wife, my wife is from polygamous home. I had my mom, did a lot of good work on me when it comes to human relationship, right? But even at that, when my wife does something, right, and once he has her imprint and the children come to me, I will side with my wife. Then we'll have that conversation later, right? To say that your mom is not wicked. She's only. So you need to defend yourself before your children. You can't give yourself away to your children. The effect of that is what you're already saying, where the children think you are the wicked one, your father is a nice one. So they will get away with a lot of things with him. Then they will say our mom is wicked. And that's the wrong signal being sent. So what is happening here is a marital issue that you need to fix. You and your husband need to come together. You need to talk about how you want to raise the children, the outcomes you want, and the right processes that you need to put in place. Once you do that, you will win back your child, and then you find expression in the life of the children, especially if you are the uptight one. You are very uptight. So what I'm going to say to you is analyze yourself if you're on this call. Between affirmation and correction or condemnation, what is the ratio that you use in a day? Between the time you catch, what's the percentage of the time you catch your children doing what is right and applauding them versus you are trying to correct them? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? If the latter is much more, then you're actually not a bad cop, you are a hard cop. So you need to loosen up. Many of us are too uptight. And oftentimes, especially if you live in America, maybe you're combining jobs, you don't even have time. That's why self-nurture is very key. The moment you stop nurturing yourself, you are going to sabotage. And it will look like you are petty or you are harsh, but you won't even know that it's transferred aggression that is happening to you. So you and your spouse need to talk, and then you let them teach you songs, let them teach you dance, begin to learn to play again, right? I'm sure you win back your children.
Right. Thank you. We have about 15 minutes to the end of the session, and I still have one or two questions more. Someone says, thank you so much. Please, I have a young boy who will be 6 next month. He wastes time doing things. He usually gets carried away in class, and you will have to keep prompting him to draw his attention back. He does it when doing his homework or his assignment at home too, which can be sort of frustrating. What can I do to help?
That's a creative convertible you're dealing with, right? You need to find out the personality of you. That's the creative convertible you're dealing with. Creative convertible, whatever is not fun-driven, doesn't attract them, and they don't like writing notes anyway. I was like that as a child, so I can perfectly understand what you're dealing with. What you need to do, they are visual oriented, so get them to study more and let them see the reason why they need to master what you are dealing with. Let them see a reason why they need to master it, then there can be a reward. For example, if you say, what do you want for Christmas? Let them accumulate points for whatever you're going to give them for Christmas, right? And so oftentimes they can overplay, right? Because true play is where they learn, and you cannot afford that. So you need to have conversation with them. Who do you want to become in the future? This is what you want to become. And because they love to do things in a hurry. So what if you pass your exams early so that you can have more time to play. The fact that you have painted the picture of if I pass it early, not just pass it anyhow. So you can't do it anyhow. You need to do it well, study it well, and have straight A's. If you have 8+, you have more play, right? You have sold a gold mine, and you see them, they'll study ahead of time. They'll even be telling you, play is tomorrow, I need to score straight A's. And so it's about how you sell it to them and how you help them focus a little bit. But naturally, they have no attention span. Oftentimes outside of Nigeria, they are diagnosed as ADHD. But oftentimes, I always tell parents, it's a description of a behavior, not necessarily a death sentence, right? They can be managed without medication, I believe, because once a child begins to get medicated with stuff, it can become very addictive, So, and because many of us, the way we were hyper in Nigeria, they will diagnose us as ADHD in America here, but where we are still doing our thing, So please, let them find their work in their play, and then you will see, a child that is extraordinary emerge.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Praise. So I have one last question before we go tonight. This question says, I have an obvious tiny low voice, and each time I speak, people say they barely hear me. Now I have 4 boys. They also say the same. My challenge now is when I have to repeat myself when talking to them, I get angry and shout at them. I don't like it because it drains me. What can I do?
If you have a tiny voice, do you want to install a microphone in your house? So that they can hear you. There are always ways to go about these things. You need to learn to improvise, but what you can do is have regular meetings. You can do a one-on-one meeting. Explain to them genuinely that you don't like to shout, and that's where your voice is. They would understand, right? Because we always think that children don't understand. They have emotions. They can understand. They can empathize. So let them understand that, you know what, you love mommy. This is where my voice is. Mommy gets stressed when she shouts. So what's the best way? So what you can do is, do you need to pass the message? Just find the leader among them. So if it's the first child that is the leader, you can pass the message to the first child and let the child circulate the message to the other ones, right? For every problem that you're experiencing, there is always a way out, right? So don't get to that point where you become angry. Then they've warned you. Whosoever can get you angry is in control of your life. And you don't want anybody to get you angry, right? So you need to have that conversation. And in fact, sometimes, depending on the age ranges between them, you can alternate the house leader. You can create a house leader structure where firstborn child leads the house this week. He's the one that gets the information, circulates it. Next, second child comes in, third week. So it looks like, oh, I will have my time to lead the house, but leadership is service. You don't have to serve the house. You don't have to ensure that everyone does what they're supposed to do. So you can be creative. Let's not be one unidirectional or more dual directional, where we only think right and wrong, up and down. There are several ways you can create. You see, when people ask me, Praise, were you able to create a lot of content? For every problem I see, I research it, I get solutions out of it, I practice it, it works, then I serve it to other people. That's what I think. And please, let's normalize education. I would strongly recommend How to Script That Child, which is the cheapest product we have. It just came out, and in there you'll be able to create your family vision, create your family values. You'll be able to understand the type of child you want to raise, and then you are able to know the right curriculum that can help your family, right? It's something I would strongly recommend for the purpose of parents who are here, right? Then you do the other ones. It's not handling parent child only, it's scripted child. It's just came out, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. I will recommend it strongly for you. And you are in our communities anyway. You can still drop your other questions in the WhatsApp group. I'll respond to them. But we'll try and do this more often, so that we can interact, because the tragedy of parenting globally is a major problem, right? We need to do a lot together, right? We all grew up as community parenting, so we cannot meet in silos. So whatever support we can give to ensure that your children turn out right and that you become the best kind of parent for them, we would ensure that that happens. Right. So thank you very much. It looks like I have one other question I can say on the chat box.
After that question, we're taking no more question. We're not taking any other question after this last one. It says, how can I handle my children? I discover as they are growing, they tend to take my instructions with levity and do things their own way. My daughter will prefer to be on the phone than read. When it's time to read, she sleeps off.
No, who gave her the phone? I always remind I have a 15-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. I always remind them, you don't have a phone. You were given a phone in trust. It's our phone. So when the phone was being given, there were clear terms and conditions. You want to have a phone? You can't password the phone because it's not your phone, right? It's our phone. Then you can't go and sleep with the phone. You drop your phone at 9 p.m. because if you keep their phone in the room, they are not going to sleep. So you drop your phone at 9 p.m. You pick it up the following day before you go to school so that we can communicate with you. When you come back from school, you drop your phone to finish your work, then you do your 2 hours. So let's not empower what will destroy these children, right? So if you say that your children, they take your instruction with levity, that's expected. As they grow older, they begin to realize that many of the things you used to teach them is not totally correct. And you need to understand that as well. That's why you need to grow and realize that, hey, love is what you owe them. So show them love, show them respect. If you show them, you will become by respect to attract. Many of us are not good with respecting our children because they came out of us. You saw them grow. Now your child is 14, 15. You still think that you command him. And in fact, you should worry. If you tell a 15-year-old, sit down there and he sits down without objecting, stand up and he stands up without objecting, you have raised a Dundee United. That's not acceptable. The child should have a mind of his own, right? And he must be able to communicate it. It should show emotions. Now you can now have conversation as, okay, so what do you think about this? Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to do it now? We must normalize this thing. Our parents, we couldn't ask them questions. And that's the way we have now grown. We don't like it when they question us or when they don't obey us on time. They don't have to obey you on time because they are also processing the instruction. Sometimes the instruction doesn't make sense. Were there not instructions that your parents gave you that didn't make sense? Did you go ahead to do it? Right? Your parent, if the father doesn't like play, in town sport, he will now say you should sit down at home. Everybody, your school is going to football. He will say you should sit at home. You know, he used to very. In fact, there's something called Ojudioba in Ogun State, right? In Ijebu, that is a big to the night. My father will not allow us go. So after a while, is a scale.
Okay.
That is given. You want the best ever. You need to show respect, but that's why you need to ensure that the right things are. And I can't reiterate it enough that if you understand characterization on their journey, that you have been a scout before age 3, that you are a model before age 6, that you are an instructor before age 9, that you are a friend before age 13, and that you are a coach from 13 to 18. If you have done that, trust me, you will be a super advisor at the end of from age 19, which is where you get your report card. Thank you very much for showing up here today. I want to believe you had a great time. Go and the educational system, every family needs to create it. My family has what they call the royalty. Children take it every day, right? They were taking it 6 a.m. now because they have now decided that they want to be studying from 5 a.m. to 6:30. So they now ask that can they move it to the last thing they do before sleep? It's fine by me, right? We allow them to take decisions, and we listen to them, and that's what you need to do. We're always here to support you and to support you in your parenting journey. So thank you for being in our community. I want to believe that you are having a great time. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Praise. So I'm going to let you go now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who has joined us today. Someone says, concerning the 6-year-old boy who gets carried away. Wow, Mr. Praise. Thank you so much, Creative Convertible. Yes, he gets carried away playing. You're very correct. Thank you so much for your response on this. I feel so relieved and will definitely be more intentional. I will create more reward system and also get more visual activity for him to do, which he loves. To be honest, is not so bad and is brilliant and assimilate quickly, just that aspect which you have helped me with. Thank you and God bless you, sir. Thank you for joining in today. I can say a lot of thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's important that we get knowledge on parenting. Yes, we know parenting is a journey. And that's why we have all these amazing resources for you as parents. We're here to make your journey easy. We're here to serve you. That's what Fowowe International was created for, to make life easy for you across board. So if you want to join the community and you're not in our community yet, admin, please help me drop the link to the community. Periodically, we would be gathering like this to answer your questions. So if you have more questions that I've not been able to answer tonight, watch out, stay tuned, watch out for the mails that will be coming to you, check our communities, and then when we have subsequent classes, we will let you know. We have dropped the link for Script Your Child in the chat box. I will advise that every parent will take that. It's just 20,000 naira, I think. Very affordable. You need it for your children. I would suggest that every parent on this call click on that link and get registered. For someone who says, oh, I need to speak to someone, I think I'm traumatized, I need healing. Yes, you can go to our YouTube page Fowowe. You would see lots of materials that you can get for free. Yes, you heard me, for free. But if you want to talk to a counselor, we have a pool of professionals that can work with you. You can reach out to the admin. If you are outside the country or within Nigeria, you can just send us a chat at +234 8125 120 410. It's in the chat room. Admin, please let me drop a phone number that they can reach us on. You don't have to call directly. You can just drop a WhatsApp message for us and we would answer to every of your questions. Yes, and if you also want to register for the Ready for Life mentoring program, yes, you have the opportunity to do so tonight. The link is also in the chat room. Just go through it. Admin, please, you can drop the link for the Ready for Life to say, oh, I need a platform where my child can learn. I need a platform where you can help teach my children. Yes, we also have that available. Admin will also drop the link, but specifically that Script Your Child, I would want every parent to take that course, click on that link and buy that course. And yes, if you want to join us in the online 4 weeks training, parenting, the next one comes up in June. You can also do that. You can reach out to the admin and we will get you started. But most importantly, before you leave tonight, click on the link in the chat room and get the Script a Child course. Trust me, we all cannot leave our parenting to hope. Hope is not a strategy. It's important that we're able to script our children. So one more time, I'm going to say thank you to everyone who joined in today. I can see all your thank yous. Thank you. We also are saying thank you for joining us. Thank you for being intentional about your parenting journey. I say this all the time. No child is safe until every child is safe. So thank you for joining us. And please do have a wonderful, wonderful night's rest. Bye-bye. Thank you, thank you. You can chat us up. Yes, I can see all your thank yous. Thank you. You can chat us up. You can sign up for Ready for Life. You can take our parenting classes. You can buy the course Script Your Child rather. Oh, follow Shaw. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good night to all our beautiful parents in here tonight. Good night.